Kick Spooks, and I'm here today to talk to you about my spring/summer TBR because we are well into spring now, which I didn't realise. I've been in a bit of a reading slump the past couple of months, but I'm back into it now, so hopefully we'll get some of these books read. I've got 16 books to talk about today. I've organised them by genre and I'll put the timestamps down below in case there's any genres that you're not too keen on. So I think we'll start off with my translated books for the next couple of months. Eliza Shu Duspin wrote Winter in Soko, which I read kind of 3-4 years ago and absolutely adored. This is The Pachinko Parlour, translated from the French by Anissa Abbas Higgins. It's quite an interesting mix of identities, nationalities, cultures represented in this book. It is all about a girl who lives in Switzerland and is French speaking natively but has Korean grandparents and English speaking grandparents, about her visiting her grandparents in Japan where they fled during the Korean Civil War, and about trying to get them back to Korea for the last time. And her writing is just so dreamy, makes you feel like you're in the middle of a fever. I'm absolutely obsessed with it and I can't wait to see what she kind of unpicks in this book. Next we have Concerning My Daughter by Kim Hae-jin, translated by Jamie Chang. This is a very brief little novel about a very traditional Korean mother welcoming her daughter home, expecting her to bring home a man, and brings home a daughter. And I'm always interested in queerness being represented in translated fiction, just to get a sense of what it's like around the world. Another book about queerness in Korea specifically is Love in the Big City by San Young Park, translated by Anton Her from the Korean. This is about a gay Korean 20-something being a disaster. Falling in and out of love, sleeping with people, finishing uni, going out in the world and becoming a writer. I've heard people say queer joy. I think we're going to have to go through a lot of queer pain to get to the queer joy. But apparently it's there. And like, the cover is absolutely stunning. This is my first Tilted Access press book, and if I like it, I can see this becoming a dangerous hobby. You can hear that banging. Dolly has found a new game where she takes her little ball and she bounces it off the panel of the bath, which she knows is hollow, so it makes like this reverberating dong. Anyway, the last translated book is Phenotypes by Paulo Scott, translated by Daniel Han. This is about race in Brazil. The main character is white passing but is of mixed heritage, and it's about kind of the politics behind that and how that presents day-to-day challenges for people in Brazil. Not something I have read about at all, kind of colorism in South America more broadly, but specifically in Brazil. So this is going to be a good addition to my South American lit collection. Okay, now for fantasy and fantasy adjacent books. First up, I haven't yet bought it, but I am definitely going to be buying book 3 in the Mirror Visitor series, which follows a girl thrust into a political marriage, enemies to lovers. I'm giving you tropes because so much plot has happened. And it's not your stereotypical kind of YA book with those tropes. It's very lyrically written, it's beautiful, it's translated from the French by Hildegard Searle, written by Christine Dabos. If that doesn't end up being my favourite series of the year, something stunning must be on the horizon. Then we have The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I started reading this and then we moved in the middle and I got lost off. So I'm going to start again, and this is about how do I describe this? So in this book, cities of a certain age and populace and importance develop sentience, and to survive they pour that sentience into a human who comes to represent each city. So like London, Paris, Cairo, that kind of thing. Something goes wrong when New York gains sentience and it splits into 5 people who are the 5 boroughs of New York, and some shenanigans occur. Ruth Ozeki's The Book of Form and Loneliness. One of these stickers is removable, the other is not. So this is about a house, but it's told by the objects in the house, I think. And I think it's about kind of loss and moving on and how grief attaches to things. So this is kind of more magical realism, I think. This is Lonely Castle in the Mirror by Mizuki Tujimura, translated by Philip Gabriel from Japanese. This is, I think, a portal fantasy where children and people in Tokyo wake up and find their mirrors are shining, and they pass through the mirrors and they find the lonely castle in the mirror. I think this is going to be very dreamy, very lyrical, and a little bit different to what I've read before. I don't think I've read any Japanese fantasy before, so I'm intrigued. The next category we're going to be looking at is sci-fi. So first of all, it's somewhere up above me at the bottom of a pile of books. I love you, but I'm not going through all that to pull it out and hold it up to you. It is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini of Eragon fame. Brought out his first sci-fi adult kind of debut. It is huge. It's a chonker. It might well be an audiobook listen, but this involves first contact with aliens, follows a female scientist. It seems right up my street. We'll see how successfully he does. I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm very intrigued to find out. I've been putting off reading this book for so long because I know there are only so many books by this author and he is long gone, and I'm trying to string it out as if my life depends on it. Stowaway to Mars by John Wyndham. In this book, a lady called Joan, who is apparently young, but I only know grandma's called Joan. So I imagine this old lady called Joan stows away on a ship to Mars. Oh, bless you! She sneezed. Yes, so this lady Joan stows away on a ship to Mars, and it's about the ramifications of that on the crew, on the mission, how that all unfolds. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Hot House by Brian Aldiss might be one I save for the sweatier months of the summer. I don't cope well with heat. I'd like to read about people who are not coping well with heat, so I've got something to relate to. It is far-flung future, absolutely crazy space shenanigans going on. Earth is totally returned to vegetation and is in constant daylight. It seems like kind of classic sci-fi at its best. Years ago, I read Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And I picked up the sequel, Children of Ruin. It's now been so long that I cannot remember what happened in the first book. But also the first book is bigger than this. I have found like a recap on my phone that is about 40 pages long. And it's very daunting. So if I can make sense of the recap, I will then read this. If I absolutely have to, I will try and find the audio book of Children of Time to listen to. But this is why I can't leave breaks in between series, because I don't want them to sit unread on my shelves anymore. But also that's scary. Next up are my contemporary fiction, classic fiction, general fiction, literary fiction, just fiction which is not of a genre. Or maybe it is. I've got no rationale for this, it's the books that were left. The Animals at Lockwood Manor I've been meaning to read over summer for quite a few years now. I think this is the story of the exhibits of museums that were removed from London during the Blitz and hidden in old stately homes in the countryside. And I read Framed by Frank Boyce years ago, like as a little kid. And I think that's what this is calling to. It's calling. So dumb. It's calling to that core memory of reading that book in primary school. I also want to read Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. I wasn't initially going to read this because I don't love Kazuo, but I like the idea of talking about AI, especially given how much more prominent AI has become in the kind of discourse recently. It would be nice to see something that isn't scary. Hello, Dolly. Are you meowing for the people? She's getting much better at cuddles now. Aren't you, doll? You simp. You little simp. You little simpy simp. You gonna stop meowing now? Yeah? Where were we? Next up I've got To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. Yes, this stunning vintage classics collection that I've barely touched. It's time to just face the music. I bought them all. I need to bloody read them all. I think this is about people who kind of go on a holiday in a big group and kind of matchmaking occurs and doesn't occur. Last up, I have this bind up of Herland and the Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I've already read the Yellow Wallpaper. Truly one of the most horrific things I've ever read. Ruined my life, so scary. cannot be in a room with wallpaper. I think this is like a utopian slash dystopia, depending on your point of view, of society run by women and kind of how that flourishes and how it faces trials. It was written a long time ago, so how truly feminist it will be is yet to be seen, but I'm looking forward to it. This is my spring and summer TBR. If there's anything on there you've read, anything I should get to first, please let me know. If there are any misses on there, also let me know. If you have any recommendations for sci-fi and fantasy, particularly that might be nice over the summer months, please let me know. I'm always looking for more genre recommendations. And just let me know what you're reading this summer. I clearly have some reading to do, so I will let you go and enjoy your day. Thank you.